All right, so we have Seahawks, Rams, guys, Washington football team, and the Eagles. Both those games are at 7 o'clock tonight. Who are you going to play at captain for Seahawks, Rams? Pearce, I'll let you go first here.
Yeah, it's going to be Cooper Kupp in this game. It's Cooper Kupp in every game. Good luck fading him on a showdown slate. Good luck fading him on the 2-game slate. Good luck fading him on any regular slate. He may not be the best receiver in football. He probably is. But he's definitely the best fantasy receiver. He came into the week with 151 targets, the most in the NFL, 20 more than Tyreek Hill. It's not just he gets targets. He gets targets because he's open. And when you're open, you catch those targets, you get yards, you get touchdowns. You look at last week in a tough matchup against the Cardinals, one of the better pass defenses in the league, got 13 of 15 for 123 yards and a touchdown. This week, you get the 28th ranked pass defense. I know it's going to be tough to fit him in, but he has to be in your lineup one way, shape, or form.
Oh, man, yeah, he is quite pricey there, Geoff. What do you want to do there? Cooper Kupp, 19.5 in the captain spot.
Well, since I can't take Kirk Cousins, I'm going to take the second best quarterback in the league, which is Russell Wilson. I don't know if Russell Wilson's the second best quarterback in the league. Certainly this series not. But I like him for this game at 16.5. He's the third most expensive player. And I think there's a lot of upside here for Russ in this game. I mean, obviously, you've got the Seahawks coming in as plus 6.5 underdogs. They really haven't been a good rush team. I know Rashad Penny has reeled up a couple runs, but that was against the Texans. Russ averaged over 9.4 or 9.3 yards per attempt last week against Houston. They're throwing the ball downfield more. They're getting Dwayne Eskridge involved a little bit, and Russ is just playing better. Realistically, this is how you attack the Rams too. You pass the ball. They've allowed 3 games of 300 yards or more to opposing quarterbacks in their last 6 starts. They're still really banged up on defense. I think Russ is going to be able to cook here. Again, we don't know the Lockett situation, but Metcalf, Gerald Everett, Eskridge, Freddie Swain, those guys are all going to be playing. I think Russell Wilson's in for a big game. I think other than Cooper Kupp, that's the guy who's got the most upside in the spot.
All right, Fowler, Seahawks, Rams. Your captain is who?
Yeah, I'm agreeing with Geoff here on Russ Wilson for the contrarian play, because I think most people are down on Russ, except for Geoff. Jeff's been a Wilson stan for the entire year.
Since I was born.
Since he was born, one of his favorite quarterbacks. But that's the thing, right, is that you just don't know. It's hard to pick a skill player on Seattle because you just don't know where Russ is going to go. I'm sure Gerald Everett is going to get 14 red zone targets and fumble 3 away like he always does. I might be fighting people on Twitter about Gerald Everett is not the way to win this game. But at the same time, just take that out of it. If it's not Cooper Kupp, which is absolutely right by Pearce, it has to be Russ Wilson. These guys actually have a decent shot, the Seattle Seahawks, of actually covering and potentially winning this outright, because the Rams, after that, it's a hard-fought game we thought they were going to play on Sunday after playing on a short week, beating the Cardinals, beating a division foe. They could be a little down. They could be a little fatigued, even though you get this on a Tuesday. They don't really improve their position if they win this game in the playoffs. So I like going with the Seahawks in the contrarian build.
Yeah, Rams, by the way, 6.5-point favorite at home against the Seahawks in this one. Yeah, I know, right? All right, let's go to the Washington football team and the Eagles matchup. Reid, who are you going to captain there?
Jalen Hurts. If he doesn't come in with an injury designation in this game, the Washington football team is giving up the most points to the opposing quarterbacks. And Jalen Hurts is the thing that drives this machine. You can definitely attack the passing game in this. I don't think Jalen Hurts, and we'll get to that in a little bit, how I'm attacking that. But from a showdown standpoint, I actually think he's pretty cheap when it comes to a captain spot. So give me Jalen Hurts.
Okay, Ulrich, who do you want?
I mean, I want to stick with the Philadelphia side. I just don't know how much offense Washington is going to be able to generate. But I think Miles Sanders is an interesting contrarian play here. I mean, Hurts does have a high ankle sprain. I don't think he's 100%. I know he doesn't have the injury designation, but I really don't think he's 100%. And I think it's just going to lead to, if the Eagles do get a lead, you're going to see a little bit more Miles Sanders. He's averaged 16 carries over his last 3 games. He's hit well over 60 yards in each of his last 3 games. He's running the ball well. And, with how just depleted Washington is, again, I don't think you can rely on what's been a pretty good rush defense here. I think you're going to see more Miles Sanders in this game than people realize, especially if they get up. So I agree. It could still just be a Hurts dominated. Maybe he is feeling a little bit better than I think. But I think Sanders is definitely the contrarian Eagle to captain here. Again, that carry total has been up, and the efficiency has been up lately for Sanders.
Hurts 18-3 and the captain, Sanders 14-1. Pearce, who are you going with at captain?
Let me just say this game's a mess.
Yeah.
And I don't think that Sanders is going to be contrarian at all. I believe he's one of the lesser questionable plays on this showdown slate, or even on the 2-game slate. We don't know what to expect from Washington. They have until 4:00 to finalize their COVID roster. So that's a huge mess. We're not going to know until 4 what really is going to happen. At least on Philly's side, we know that Miles Sanders is coming off of a big game. We know that they like to run the ball. We know that even if some of the guys come off the COVID list for Washington, there's still a pretty depleted defense. The issue with Philadelphia is, are they going to give the ball to all these different running backs? And they could do that. But we also don't know what Jalen Hurts is going to do. They split snaps with Gardner Minshew this week. He's not 100% healthy, and they could easily get out ahead with a double-digit lead, and maybe Hurts doesn't play the entire game. It's a mess. This is an absolute mess, but I'll go with Miles Sanders.
All right, let's go full 2-game slate now. Classic. Is there a guy on there who you think is actually underpriced, Geoff?
I mean, I don't know about underpriced, but I do like playing. Well, I guess he is kind of a little bit underpriced. I mean, I like playing the Seattle Seahawks wide receivers. I mentioned if I think this is a great spot for Russell Wilson. You know, it's tough to choose right now between Dwayne Eskridge and Freddie Swain, but I'm going to lean Freddie Swain here. You know, we've seen him pop up with the long touchdowns a couple times this year. And generally, when that play happens, Russell Wilson has gone for bigger totals. You saw it earlier in the year against San Francisco, against Tennessee. When Freddie Swain hits those long plays from Russ, the two generally combine for like a really nice fantasy day. I mean, this is completely reliant on you basically getting the long play downfield, but just with the nature of this game, and again, we don't know the status of Tyler Lockett. I mean, again, like Pearce mentioned, these games everything could change here by the time we hit game time. But Freddie Swain has been playing in those like 3-4 wide receiver sets, and he gets the downfield targets from Russ. So I think if you're going to start Russell Wilson at quarterback and you need value, you throw Freddie Swain in there because they should be passing a lot. They're going up against the depleted Rams defense. That's one thing we do know. And Freddie Swain is just a pretty good downfield receiver. So I like going to him for value in the 2-gamer.
Pearce, how about you? By the way, great article about this classic slate here on DK Nation.
Thank you. Check that out on DK Nation. And so I'll just go ahead and read that article to you with my picks.
Perfect.
But look, you just don't want to do anything with that Philadelphia-Washington game. It's an absolute mess. And on the 2-game slate, I don't want to go near it. Maybe you consider the defense there for the Eagles. But Los Angeles just seems like the obvious place to go. And Odell Beckham Jr. is too cheap. I was down on Beckham. I didn't think he was going to play well, but he's caught 13 of 22 targets in his last 3 games, 180 yards, a touchdown in every single game, 16.5 DKFP. With all the uncertainty and a lot of not very good receivers, he seems like the obvious cheap receiver that everyone is going to play. I have no problem playing him. He's facing a really bad defense. Tight end Blanton for the Rams is also going to be, I think, a very popular punt as well.
Reid, who's underpriced on this Tuesday night football slate?
Yeah, I think what Pearce and Geoff are alluding to is, everyone's trying to stay away from that Philly game, right, with Washington, and that's the place that you potentially want to go for these contrarian, these value plays. Geoff talked about the stable of running backs that the Philadelphia Eagles have, but Jordan Howard is $4,200. Like, he's dealing with some injuries as well. Like, everybody's dealing with injuries at this point. Miles Sanders went out with that ankle injury, that foot injury before, right? He was having a big game. But at the end of that game, he went out with the injury. And I think you want to keep all of your main guys healthy. And Jordan Howard at $4,200. Remember, this guy in 3 weeks had something like 16 red zone targets or 15 red zone touches. That is absolutely absurd for someone who just, came onto the scene 4 weeks ago. He didn't have any in week 11 and he got a little bit banged up, but he is their red zone guy. If we believe that Philadelphia can march up and down the field, and the Washington football team is not going to have their starting lineup, especially on the defensive side, I would trust Jordan Howard to get me at least the looks for touchdowns at $4,200. That's a pretty price, especially if people are going to Miles Sanders.
Reid, let's go to someone you're just looking to fade tonight. I'm sure Pearce will go with someone in that Washington Eagles game. What about you?
Yeah, Pearce is just going to fade that entire game,
right?
Completely, not even watch it. But I'm sharing a sentiment here. Terry McLaurin, who's the quarterback? Who is it? We have no idea.
What's eating Garrett Gilbert Grape?
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, we don't even know that. I mean, we don't know who the quarterback is.
I love that movie, by the way. What's Eating Gilbert Grape? That's a phenomenal movie.
Great flick. But this is hard because this is one of my favorite players to watch. I love he's just amazing, and get this guy quarterback. He's a new age Allen Robinson. but we just don't know who's passing the ball. He's coming off a concussion, so I'd be fading Terry.
All right, Geoff, how about you, dude?
I guess
Gilbert.
I guess Reid isn't a big Leo DiCaprio fan.
Oh.
Okay, or Johnny Depp. Well, maybe that's a good thing. But I actually did kind of disagree with Pearce. I like fading Odell Beckham, not from the perspective that he's like played poorly or anything, but again, you look at this situation. I mean, he hasn't practiced. He's coming in. He's only been with the team for 3 weeks. How many plays is there really going to be on the table for Odell Beckham here? You've also got a Rams team who's coming in with both running backs healthy finally. I think it's just going to be a bit of a more conservative game plan, and I think Cooper Kupp is going to be open all day here anyways. Seattle without one of their best cornerbacks for this game. That's one thing I think we do know. And again, I think Odell Beckham is going to be a very popular pick at 4,900, which I think he makes for a good fade candidate because of that. You look at his game log too; like he doesn't get in the end zone in 3 straight. I mean, it's really like not that fantastic a situation. So I like fading him here, mainly because he's going to be popular, but also because I can see a lot of scenarios where they just don't need to rely on Odell Beckham too much today.
Pearce.
I'm going to fade Jalen Hurts. I just don't think he's going to play a full game. Just with him not practicing. I mean, he practiced with the first string, but I just don't see them having to push this game against a Washington team that has nobody. They might even give him some breaks. And Gardner Minshew played well in the last game. He didn't really deserve to lose his spot. I know Hurts didn't deserve to lose his spot either, but even if Hurts plays, we got to remember he's not a very good quarterback to begin with. And on the main slate, we would never even consider this guy. So just play Matt Stafford.
What's Eating Gilbert Grape was released on December 17th, 1993. So that's, like 28 years or so ago, just a few days
That's
ago.
like a century ago. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't even think any of us were alive when that came out.
Yeah, agreed on that. That was also one of Leonardo DiCaprio's greatest roles. Like he absolutely crushed it there. Let's wrap the segment with your favorite bet on the DK Sportsbook for either game tonight. Go ahead, Pearce.
Yeah, I'm just going to stick with what we've been doing all week, which is the under on the Washington-Philly game. It actually moved up a point. You got to wait, but I imagine at 4 o'clock, if Heineke doesn't come off the COVID list, this thing's going to drop even further. Washington couldn't score it beforehand. They can't score it now. Even if McLaurin's back, they weren't scoring with him on the field. Philadelphia's had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. They're rested. It's just an incredibly unfair advantage that the Eagles have in this game. Washington just doesn't stand a chance. Yeah, they might keep it close, but no one's scoring points in this game.
Reid, talk to me, dude.
Yeah, I think there's a couple out there. I think Jalen Hurts, over half a interception. Interceptions have been one of the props that have hit at the highest in terms of overs of the major prop categories, somewhere like in the upper 50% across the board. I think that's definitely in play. Even though Washington doesn't have a lot of interceptions on the season, I think Jalen Hurts can throw one. But I also think Seattle is live, guys. I think Seattle at +7 is live in this one. I mentioned that, and I've been down on Seattle quite a bit. But I don't think the Rams really need they always play each other tough. The NFC West, just choose the underdog and the points, and you're probably going to be profitable this year. I think Seattle wants to play a little bit of a spoiler here, so give me Seattle +7. I think they can do it.
All right, Geoff, favorite bet.
I mean, this Seattle Rams game is so weird. The Rams were sick early in the week. Now the Seahawks, who were healthy on Sunday, are now getting sicker. I tend to agree with Reid, though. I think if you can get +7 on the Seahawks, that's a good bet. I kind of like parlaying here. Take the Eagles on the money line, and then you parlay it with the Seahawks +10. Again, you can go into the alternate line, get -165 on the Seahawks +10, and then you've got the Eagles sitting there at -280 on the money line. I think that's an interesting parlay to get action on both these games. And again, 10 points for the Rams to cover here would just feels like such a huge task on this kind of week. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at these two games. But I don't really want to touch the player props in these ones just because there's so much movement and we don't even know who's going to be active yet until the games really kick off. So.